You've likely encountered a Chinook or a coho missing its adipose fin, and if you've noticed it, you know that it signals that the fish has been raised in a hatchery. So, what does this mean? In this short video, we'll explain the coded wire tag program and the process that is undertaken to apply these tags at the hatchery. A coded wire tag, or CWT, is a device that is injected into the fish to track migration. The small piece of magnetized wire is injected into the snout of the juvenile fish, and once in place, it is not visible, but can be detected using a handheld wand or tunnel detector. Once the tag is removed from a dead fish, a unique code, which is etched into the surface of the tag, can be read under a microscope. Information from the CWTs is used by Canada and the US to evaluate survival and run timings of populations, stream origin and age of returning fish, hatchery contributions to catch, smolt to adult survival rates, spawner abundance on spawning grounds, and overall health of salmon stocks. CWTs also play a key role in the US-Canada Pacific Salmon Treaty. Salmon from the Fraser River contribute to catches in the commercial, recreational, and First Nations fisheries throughout British Columbia, Washington, and Alaska. In order to determine an appropriate number of salmon that can be caught, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, or DFO, who is the lead manager for Fraser salmon, needs to know how many fish are available. To do this, DFO needs to know how many fish are going out and how many fish escape fisheries, predators, and disease to make it back to spawn in their streams of origin. The Fraser River has numerous spawning salmon populations, but DFO does not have the funding or the capacity to count all of the juveniles or the fish returning to spawn in those streams. Instead, to get an idea of returns, DFO has stocks that indicate the returns for run timings of Chinook and coho. In some cases, that indicator stock comes from a hatchery where it is possible to mark released coho and Chinook juveniles with a coded wire tag and a clipped adipose fin. At the Chilliwack hatchery, manual tagging occurs.
With our Chinook program, for brood capture, we're one of the lucky facilities where the brood actually adults swim into the hatchery, so we don't actually have to go out and seine or angle or any of these other procedures that some places have to do. Once the Chinook grow to 2.5 grams, we bring them into the marking room. They're put to sleep with CO2. The adipose fin is clipped, handed to the tagging person, who then tags them with the CWT machine. Each code that we tag is specific to this hatchery. So you'll know the location, the age, the timing of that fish when it comes back and it's caught. After the tag is in, we then transport it out to the raceways, and after 30 days it's mixed in with the rest of the population again, and then they're released. Okay, here's the raceways where we raise the Chinook. They enter the channels at about 0.3 grams, and we release them in 4 months at about 5 to 6 grams. So that'll be middle of May. We release them by pulling the screens at the back of the channels, and these are all connected to the river. And we just flush them out and away they go. We typically place the tag in the fish around 2.5 to 3.5 grams. You can do it on smaller fish, but with Chinook and their life cycle, they stay in the river system long enough that we can grow them to a larger size, which makes it easier to tag them and better survival rates. When we mark and tag the fish, when done correctly under the proper circumstances, the fish are not harmed. So we collect about 1.2 to 1.5 million eggs. Our target release is 1 million fry, and of that we CWT 20% of them, so 200,000 fish. Every day we do quality control checks. So we set aside 150 fish. We run them through the machine the next day. Of those, 125 are then kept for 30 days separately, where we again will do a quality control check just to see how well the tags have retained inside the fish's head, so that we have an idea of what we expect to come back. So at least 3 to 5 times a day, basically slice the head open and check for the tag location and make sure that it's not too far in and hitting the optic nerve. At our particular facility, we get a return rate of 2 to 5% typically.
The tag code, as well as other information such as release date and location, is entered into a database. The coded wire tags are injected into the juvenile fish, and these fish grow up with them in their snouts. They undergo many physiological changes while they migrate from the rivers to the ocean, up to Alaskan waters, and then back to their rivers of origin. If they are captured at any point along the migration, the heads may be turned into a designated monitor or at drop-off sites, after which they will be sent to a lab for analysis. If you're a fisher, you may have been approached by a fisheries monitor asking you if any of the Chinook or coho are missing their adipose fin. If so, the monitors may have asked for the head of the fish. Monitors know that the head is an important part of the fish for food, but they are collecting the information to help better understand local salmon populations and thus better manage fisheries. The CWT recovery program is important, but it is voluntary. If you notice a clipped fish but want to keep the head, please still tell the monitor that the fish is clipped, but explain that you want to keep the head. Knowing that the fish is of a hatchery origin is also very important. The CWT program in the Greater Pacific region of North America continues to be the key tool for salmonoid research and management. It is the only stock identification tool that is Pacific coast-wide in scope and provides information about ocean distribution patterns, fishery impacts, and survival rates for Pacific salmon along the Pacific coast. In the near future, other technologies such as DNA may begin to be used, but until then, we hope that all fishers will contribute to the science and management of Fraser salmon by alerting fisheries monitors if you see a Chinook or a coho missing its adipose fin, and then provide the head to the monitor or to DFO if possible.